and welcome to Mickey Art. My name's Michelle Edhouse, and in today's video I've had a number of people asking, how do you resin a vase? And this isn't the vase that they were commenting on, that was another vase that I did, vase, however you want to word it. And I was resining this piece over here, which is going to be going into a exhibition here in Rotorua in December, January. And I was like, well, I may as well mix up an extra bit of resin and show you how I resin vases. Now please note, this is not the most perfect way, this is not the only way, blah blah blah. But anyway, I have got my resin mixed up. I currently use Art Resin. I find it works well for me, and that's the important bit. So I actually do this in several layers. So I always start off with a single layer, a nice thin layer, but what this creates with that, by doing it that way, is it makes sure that I get any silicone that may be left on the piece. And this is also for if you are doing it's wobbling, if you are resining anything, I highly recommend a single thin layer to start with. Clean it really well first. Don't expect to be able to just come in and resin first go perfect. Clean it really well, and also be prepared to do more than one layer. That's what I'm saying, really. If you are expecting to do a single layer and it be perfect, it may happen, but then again it may not. Honestly, if you can find somebody who does single layer perfect every time after having used silicone in their piece, send me a link. I'd love to know what they're doing and how they're cleaning their work and how they're getting that to occur. So as you can see, I'm just using a gloved finger and just smearing that down, giving it a even coat all the way down, making sure it covers all the way down. And then as you can see, I've got it on the Lazy Susan, which gives me a lot more control and ease of access to a 3D object. It's not really necessary if you're doing a 2D, but on a 3D, highly recommended. It allows you to get right round, see all your sides, access all your sides. And some of you, if you do get this first single layer a complete coverage, why is this wobbling on me? I've just got it sitting onto a plastic cup underneath. You know, if you actually get this first layer to work as a single light layer, you may actually choose to just leave it like that. But then you may also choose to put a big thick layer over top. I highly recommend going around the rim, making sure that that gets sealed as well. And I also highly recommend you leave between layers the complete curing time. Don't expect to be able to come back in 24 hours and do another coat. Each layer needs to cure properly, and you need to do as well. For the art resin, they recommend that you sand with a very fine sandpaper, just so that the two layers bond together. Just look at it with a light. I've got the light from the window, and I'm just noticing a couple of places where there is resin cells coming through, which is what I was expecting. And it's not a wrongness, guys. This is why you intend to do 2 or 3 layers even. But if you do them in nice thin layers like I'm doing, you can end up with a far better result without wasting a lot of resin. The other reason I'm doing the finger rubbing is to get an evenness. Unless your target is to have a runny look, you really want to give it a little bit of suggestion on how to be smooth. Okay, now the other really important part of doing resin is using a torch to get the air bubbles out. It's really important. But again, what this does is, just like when we're painting, it brings up any silicone to the top. But the cool thing about that is then you know where you need to clean and sand and start again. I don't recommend sanding very much in those places though, because you're not going to have a lot of resin to sand, if any. Okay, so there we go. We have our first layer of resin, and I will be back once this is dry in order to show you the next step. I'll be back. Okay, so it has been 48 hours and it is now well hardened, and it's time to do the next step. What I did do at about 24 hours, when it was still soft, it was set but soft, I went round and just trimmed any large lumps off the rim. I'm not sure if you can get rims perfect with resin, but you know, that's okay. So first, as I said before, the first step I'm going to do is just grab some very fine, this is 600 grit, and just give it a, honestly, I'm very light, just cruising around, turning it, rubbing until I get back to the top. And let's see if I can get, you can just see, it just sort of scuffed the resin that's there, but I haven't pushed down to bypass the resin to hit the paint. So those areas that have no resin are not getting sanded. They're just, it's just the high areas that of resin. As I say, I am not a guru on how to do resin. This is how I do it. I've watched a lot of Art Resin's videos. They're actually really cool. I really like their videos. It's what got me buying their stuff. They're fun and funky and happy and playful, which, as you may or may not know, if you followed me at all, is kind of how I am. Anyway, did you spot my new addition? I now have little lumps of blue tack on my tin, just to create a little bit of a non-moving, and I've put it into a lid, which would normally go in the bin. So next step is to wipe it down with some alcohol, just to get any dust particles. Not that much alcohol, I have not been drinking. Just to get any dust particles that sanding has created. But also what I've found that this does is it helps to pick up and emulsify any of the oils that are left on there that were causing that original peeling. And this is about where I, hopefully most times, remember to put my gloves on before I start playing with the resin, which is already mixed over here. And so let me get my gloves and I'll be right back. Okie dokie. Now, there is another tool that I'm going to use in this part of the video, which I couldn't find last time, and I found it, and that is a silicone brush. Silicone not as in oil, but as in the plastic stuff that you do your baking with. These are brilliant when it comes to resin. Why? Because you can leave this set in resin in the bottom of your container and allow it to go hard, and then you can just pull it all out from in amongst this. It does not attach itself. It's brilliant. So I'm just gonna dip and brush, and as you can see, that's a lot easier than doing it with my fingers. It picks up a lot more resin, and it just takes it round. Don't need much on the bottom actually. The bottom got reasonably well covered, no big messy bits there. I'm going to come up from the bottom this time just to make that smooth transition. You really don't need to hear me talk you through this, I'm sure. But hey. Now I have been known to do 3 layers, so if this doesn't work first time round, second time round, you know, just know that resining a vase or any 3D object, this has never been proclaimed to be an easy task. Definitely not by me anyway. If you find somebody that knows how to do resin easier and with more consistently easeful results, that has a video on how to do it, and you find it, please let me know. I would love to make this job easier. So this is one of the reasons why, my dear friends, I don't resin a lot of vases. Not that I've painted a lot of vases in my time, but I know there are people out there that just, that's what their favourite thing to paint on, and they paint on a lot of them, but not me. Okay, so next step, torch it again. Popping air bubbles, that is the exceedingly important part of resin. Otherwise you have a funky dunky looking thing with these weird bits in them. So most of my vases, depending on what country you come from, are sprayed with spray varnish and used as decoration only, not to have water put in them. So I would highly recommend choose what works for you. Resin can be quite an expensive little plaything, and if you're not actually selling for a good amount, then that's definitely something you want to be taking into consideration. There's one more run round. What is that weird little blob? I'm back to the beginning. Alright, as I said in the last video, it really helps to have a light source to see where your air bubbles are. And I just put my arm in that. Ugh. Where? Kissed it. But I think it'll be okay. Alright. So, let's give it some more time and be back super shortly. Your time. To show you where we're up to. Okay, so it's been a few days. I got a bit distracted. I totally forgot about dealing with my drips. So this is what can happen, guys. This is what happens if you do not deal with your drips. You end up with lots and lots of drips. Now, some people find that funky. Some people find it totally disturbing and it upsets their wah. Their OCD goes into overload because they're not even, they're not equal. And I'm one of those people. But anyway, this vase needs a third layer. There are areas where it's still not quite perfect if I was selling it. But I only did this one as a piece to show you guys. It's probably never going to be for sale. It will always be just a, isn't it funky? Check it out type thing. Maybe to hold pens or something in it. I don't know. But it is a process. Somebody asked on the Acrylic Pouring for Fun Facebook group the other day about what's the 100% guaranteed way of getting rid of all of your silicone, and Doug made the snarky remark of don't use silicone. There is no 100% guaranteed way of getting rid of all the silicone. I have been known to do both wash it with soap and water and corn flour, and then wipe it down with alcohol and leave it 24 hours so the alcohol completely evaporates. That pretty much got it all. I got a pretty perfect result from that. But being 3D, it's really hard to get a perfect result on a vase. Honestly, guys, even without silicone, getting a full coverage of resin is not easy on a 3D object. There are people out there that will probably disagree with me. Look at that, it's what it looks like if you hold it up to your eye. Isn't it pretty? I think it is. Anyway, so I've shown you the steps. I'm not going to perfect this one. I'm not going to make it absolutely pristinely beautiful, purely because I don't have time. I'm heading overseas and I wanted to get this out for you guys so that if you are wanting to do resin of your vases for presents over the holiday season, you may have some hints and tips. If you want some more hints and tips about how to do resining, as I said, I use Art Resin, and they have really cool videos as well. Go check out their channel. It's just called Art Resin. It's quite easy to find, really. So there it is. What else is possible? What else can you do? What else can you create? What else can you have fun with? And oh, you guys are getting to see my little cheat sheet of all the videos I need to make before I go away. heading over to Australia for my Access Consciousness Facilitator training. Yay, so excited. So I do like this vase. I'm not sure how well you guys can see. It's definitely an up close and personal kind of painting. It's not something that you can see the intricacies of from far away, but I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, I adore you guys. Come play with me by subscribing, joining my email list so you know when I'm going live. What else is possible? How much fun can you have, and how much fun can creating your holidays this year be? What if the holiday season was actually a time of joy? Actually something that was fun and not stressful. Believe me, it can be, and it's just a choice. I adore you. Have fun, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.